So like someone wrote a code, they build it, they zipped it, in Java term we call it artifactory. But like you people used to zip your data, if you have some images, okay, you zip it, it's a compressed version, okay. So similar way, suppose one has developed some utility, okay, and you want other people also to use the same utility, then you make this that as a artifactory, okay, and then you can publish it. If you want to make it public or private, that's your personal choice. But there are a lot of public repository, public artifactory, I would say, that are available, that someone can use and use their code. No need to build each and everything. So suppose you want to build some date functionality feature, or something related to calendar or something, right? So you don't need to build each and everything from scratch. There are a lot of dependency available on the public marketplace. You can use the dependency and just build on the top, right? So that's the whole concept of dependency injection. Is it clear, right? Uh, Guys, I'm assuming this should be a little interactive. So if you can give me, okay, is it clear, or am I audible at least? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chirag, could you explain it any example with a live example, like in a
Yeah.
real
Definitely yes. I mean, I'll definitely be giving you the example only.
So like what you said, like in an injection itself, so it's better to be understood that what exactly the process is in the Java behind that. It's we can get the clarity on that.
Definitely. We'll get onto that part as well. But I hope whatever I was conveying, it's understandable, right? The basic concept what I was saying, the dependency injection, right?
Yeah, actually, we are mostly on the front end part so we need to work on that back end, right? So we need to let you know that what are the things that basically we need to exactly know what is Java and Spring Boot and how we work with that Java Spring Boot, and what are the things that we need mostly learn to get the entire concept, or whatever the things that which we are going to be developed, that concept we need to learn, right? Basically,
Yeah, that's
so
that's. Mhm.
exactly we are expecting that. So what is Spring Boot and how we implement that in our project, or what are the things that we are going to be implement, and could you give there any diagrammatical or else any related documentation which is available for that, so it will help me a lot to get the easy understanding.
Mm. To be honest, documentation wise, I don't have any documentation as such, because I am also a professional backend developer only. So I'm a friend of Gopal, so he asked me to take this session.
Yeah,
Okay, so I can help you with the technical stuff, okay, with the understanding everything, and I'll make sure to keep it from basic to advanced everything. Okay,
okay.
so first I was trying to plot the idea, okay, how dependency injection works, or what's the whole idea of dependency injection and everything. Okay, so I think what I was trying to explain, it's little bit clear to you ki why Spring Boot, why Spring Boot is being used by so many companies nowadays, because it's like it's work on a RAD factor, okay, rapid application development. So there is no need to do so many configuration and so many heavy lifting by the developer itself. It's like a framework will do it for you, okay. So okay, I'll definitely get back onto the example when I'll be showing you the code. So that's the very first part. The main core principle of the Spring Boot is like the dependency injection, and the second one is like the inversion of control. Okay, so why they call this inversion of control? So like if you, again, the same example, if you go back then, so then the developer used to manage all these controls, like how the dependency is being handled, how the beans are being handled, okay, how configurations are being handled, right? So now all these things are being shifted to Spring framework itself, okay. So we invert the control. Now the control is being transferred to Spring application, Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is handling all this configuration, everything for you. So which means like it's an inversion of control. We are not handling. Spring has this all this control. Okay. Now the other thing is why we are using Spring Boot, because it's a very easy to build RESTful APIs. Okay. Now again, why RESTful APIs? So again, if you see in a back then, like a 5 or 10 years back, if you see in any code, they used to transfer data in XML form. That is like a SOAP protocol, simple what was that? Simple object access protocol, I think, right? So they used to transfer data in XML, which was like a very complex to get data and fetch it, right? You must all have seen the example of XML. But now the Spring Boot, and I think almost everyone in the industry is using RESTful API because that works with JSON. That is easy to transfer in the backend and then easily parsable in the front end as well, right? So that's the main thing that Spring Boot provides. It's like a RESTful API. It's a very easy to build. Okay, so now I'll show you the example. Let me share my screen. Okay, sorry. So you guys able to see IntelliJ? Hello.
Yeah, it's visible. Shira.
Yeah.
Okay. So see, this is like a uh, so here we are using Maven. So there are two type of build tool usually used with the Spring Boot. One is the Maven and the other one is Gradle. Okay, so Maven is like a stable one, is like a faster than Maven itself, or Gradle. So people recommend to use Maven usually, okay, because it has a lot of support, the documentation. So mostly in the like a production grade application, we mostly use Maven only. Okay, so that's why I also use Maven here for the example purpose. So if you see, yesterday when Gopal was saying how to start the application. Okay, so when you go to the Spring Initializer, you simply check the language, okay, the build tool, okay, Maven, then you add all this detail. Now the second part was you were adding the dependency, okay, so Spring Web, Lombok, so all of these are dependency, what I was talking about. Okay, so there are some public repository, like if you go Maven repository. Sorry guys, I think this is little slow internet connection, so it may be buffering. So Maven repository. So this is like a public repository. Anyone can publish their code here, and anyone can use someone else's code from there. Okay. So this is like one of the dependency. If you want to use MySQL connector, okay. Suppose I, as a backend developer, want to use MySQL as a database, and I want to connect my backend application with MySQL. I need some connection. Okay. I need to make connection with my backend application with Java, sorry, SQL Server. Okay, so I need some connector. So instead of writing each and everything, each and every code, we can simply use the dependency. Okay, paste it in the POM file like I did here. Okay, the connector, and use it. So what it will do, it will download jars from the internet or the public repository, add it to my code, and simply I don't need to add the boilerplate code. I can only use what my business logic is. Okay, is it clear now, right?
Guys, you can ask questions also. That's still okay. Chirag can answer you, help you understand if you're missing something, right? So feel free to ask him.
Sir, is there any possibility to record the section to refer later?
No, why do you need recording?
Is there after the completion of the class when you are practicing to refer the video?
Mm-hmm. Uh,
That's what.
yeah, for now, let's not record it. Okay, we'll see. Maybe, I don't know if that is there or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
maybe I think we'll be there. Like, if you have any questions, right? Maybe we can resolve in tomorrow session or something like that. We can do that way.
yeah, I mean that's what, because recording is already available on YouTube. There are lot of tutorials available.
The
If you have any doubt, I think that's the best way to ask the doubt and get it cleared.
hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Shirag, just I need to ask one thing. Can you please explain how the flow of a request with the Java? So we all know that from the Marin itself, we are having in the flow structure from the front end we are having like a technologies like HTML, CSS along with the React itself. So
Mhm.
the request which we are getting from the backend itself in the form of API, right? So
Mhm.
the API which will be generated in the backend, that will be we are using the Express or MongoDB and
Mhm.
along with the Node.js. So
Mhm.
through that we are generating the APIs. So
Mhm.
this is the process which we are regarding the Marin. So I need to know that how the process which we are available on the Java Spring Boot, exactly what you expecting, right, sir, right now. So when we are getting the clarity on the how the flow which will be going from the front to back end, like a
Mhm.
request which you are getting from front end itself, like a user register with a user form. So we are getting the data from the user in front end part. We need to store it in the database, right? So how the process which will going, we know in the Marin stack, but I need to clarity on the Java Spring Boot itself. I don't know exactly how the process is going on. I don't know. That's why I need to get the clarity on that one thing. So from
Yeah.
the, is there any chance to get uh, we need to develop a one database, and we need to connect with the Spring Boot, and then the Spring Boot which will be connected to the front end part, how the APIs which are transferring the data in between the front end along with the back end. Is there any like a demo project which are done by you or else a team itself? Is there any demo project that will help you a lot to understand the how the things which are going on the Java Spring Boot?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let me clarify you. What's your name, by the way?
yeah, myself, Harish.
Harish.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, Harish. You know. So let me make you a few things clear. I think whatever Chirag was showing, right? So Chirag, that's a tattoo one, right?
Yes.
yeah,
Huh.
it's chat.
So it was, one of the project, which it would be similar to what you guys are developing also, right?
Yeah,
And how it will flow is like Chirag will start with you, all how you can start the basics, right? Because that's what yesterday you guys asked to start
yeah,
with
yeah,
the basics,
exactly.
right? So first, let's get into the basics, and then you will understand, what is an API, and when any application, right, whether it's a React application or HTML or JavaScript, any application, how that will call, and if it hits the API, and how it goes to service layer, and how it goes to MySQL database, or get back the result from the database, or through whole the business logic and return final result, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
understand it when Chirag will go one by one, step by step,
Yeah,
right? Because I know that looks like you have some knowledge on this one, the tech part, right? But some of your team, they were not having that knowledge, it seems, right? So let the other people also understand the fundamentals, and then we can jump to this one. Okay.
so I have no knowledge on that of front end only. That's I need to learn on the back end itself. So that's why
Hmm.
I
So
get the
then
clarity
it would be helpful for you only, like first understand, because even if get to know how the flow will go, right?
yeah,
That's like a, so you won't be able to understand, so which dependency is helping you to process that, right? which
exactly.
which infra, which software is required, And basically, even to connect to the MySQL database, for example, take this as an example.
Yeah.
So you have to, you can't directly call the database, right? There is a, server, MySQL server which got installed, and you have to connect to that server. But how you will do that? That's where these dependencies is nothing but that is a another code base or a software where you will use it as an adapter.
Okay, like a mediator, it will be connecting between them.
Connecting the service, correct. So that's what Chirag is explaining, right?
Yeah.
So first go with it, go with the flow what Chirag is explaining you, so that your things will get cleared.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's the same, like if you are talking about the Node.js, not like the way you used to add the npm dependency, it's the same here. Like in Java we use Maven or Gradle dependency. Okay. So again, it's like some piece of code that someone else written. It just we added the dependency, which will add some jar or the code in our project, which we can leverage. Okay, so now the whole point of building this application is we want to expose some APIs, right? So API is nothing but application programming interface, which you want to communicate to. Okay, and that too is a RESTful one. RESTful as in like we will be communicating to and fro with the JSON only. I mean that too support XML, but if you want to use XML only, that the SOAP was the correct one, the older thing. Okay, but now everyone wants to use JSON, so it's a RESTful one. So now, so how we will like test backend application? So Postman, it's like another application which we use to communicate our backend service. Okay, so suppose when I'm exposing some API, okay, and I want to test like how it is being performing or how it is working. So suppose here I used to add like what is kind of API I'm using. It's like a get API, put, post, anything. There are multiple type of API that we used to support, right? So so suppose let me even for example, I started my application. So if you see here, it is building. Then once it is built, it will deploy. So that's the best part of Spring Boot. It comes auto. It comes up with the inbuilt server, Tomcat and the Jetty one. So you don't need to bother about where to deploy or anything. It's automatically handle all this thing.
And guys, just listen carefully and follow Chirag carefully, because from tomorrow, what we'll do is, we'll take some of the examples and we'll ask you guys to, come up with the application, right? So whatever you learned so far, so you can, go ahead and hands on and make your hands dirty and come back, right? Just so that, we can take a look and we'll see how you guys are improving, right? So that way it's like a mutual learning, and I'll also get to know how you guys are learning. So just keep focus, okay?
Yes.
So now like Tomcat started on port 8080. So 8080 is like by default port. So if you come back here, so this is how the URL is being formed. So localhost is nothing but like the default IP of your local server 127.0.0.1. Okay, then colon, then port number. Okay, then like specific to API, there is like how you used to form the URL. Okay, now if I hit this API and ask him, get me all the tattoos which are available in my database. So in the backend, it will flow to all the like the controller layer, the service layer, to the database, come back and give me the response back. Okay, so it is sending the response. So here is the response. it's little slow, so you must be seeing distorted, but this is how the response look like. The JSON, we have some tattoo details, like every tattoo has some ID, there is some URL, the name of the category and the description. Okay, so everything is in the JSON format and everything is like an object only. So this is one object, okay, and this whole is one another object, the whole this array, and the overall response itself is another object. Okay, so it's like object, then another object inside it, and there are multiple objects with the same type in the one array. So you are getting it right. Okay, so this is about the how a API look like, how you use to send data and get the data. So this is like a get call, so we are not sending any data for now, but we can, there must be some requirement when even in the get call you know you need to send some data. Okay, we will get back to that example as well. So the other thing is this response code. This is also a very important thing. So 200 okay, I mean it also signifies 200 okay means like the request is successful. There can be different status code which can depict okay how the API is performing. So suppose like if it is 404, like suppose if I do a mistake, I instead of tattoos I send only tattoo. Okay, so it will give me 404 not found because there is no such URL that exists on my backend. So this is how it will show you ki this API is not successful, it's 404, right? But if I'll send the correct one, and there can be different status code as well, like the 500 one, 200 can be 5, the 404 it's 400 series, there is another series for 500. If anything happened to my server, like the server crashes or I haven't handled the exceptions correctly, so it may be the 500 as well. Okay, so the other example is suppose if I want to search specifically, okay, like I want to send data, it's again a get API, but with some data. So I want to search all that, I want to search, is there any tattoo with the dragon symbol or something? Okay, so I send the keyword equals to dragon. So it will give me all the tattoos. There are 2 tattoos with the dragon related thing. Okay, so suppose I'll send some other details, suppose wolf. Okay. So now there are so many tattoos which has wolf involved in it. So this is how API work. Like I'm sending some request and I'm getting some response in the response, right? So how this flow is being handled, that you can learn with this Spring here. So Gopal, should I cover this controller service layer as well?
Yeah, I think for today you just cover how they'll access these endpoints and how the response will look like. So all these things you can cover, and what all dependencies might be needed for generating these applications, like the MySQL or maybe the Tomcat. So you can cover this for today, and from tomorrow you jump to this one, the controller, and then, or for now, just to showcase them what URL which you are accessing, right? That URL you are specified in the controller, right? So you can show that so that they'll understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like again, coming back, this we discussed yesterday also. So Spring Initializer is the one where usually we start with the application, the boilerplate code. Okay. I mean, IntelliJ also provides some feature, but nobody use it. This is the standard one which people use. So again, the group artifact. So whatever the detail you add here will go to your POM file, and same way it will create the directory structure of your project. Okay. So like the com.tattoo or artifact tattoo, the description, the package name, whatever I added here, it will reflect in my application here. So if you see, my project structure look like this com.tattoo.tattoo. Okay. And if I go to the POM file, see, same thing you will see here. The group ID, what I added, here, group ID, the artifact ID, the version, the name, anything the same thing that you add there will come up here only. Okay, so if you want to change it, you can change it also, but it's just not recommended. So whatever you do, like whatever you specify in the one, go with that flow, because otherwise it will create some conflict if you change it here and not here. So sometime it create conflicts. So idea is to think first and then specify all this naming convention. Okay, so and then all this dependency, like the initially we added here, uh, make sure guys you are adding Spring Web only. So I'll show you the difference. So Spring Boot Starter Web. So if I remove this web, still it will start the application, but your API won't work. So Spring Boot Starter is a different dependency and Spring Boot Starter Web is a different dependency. So make sure, so people sometimes do this mistake and it will create error while hitting the API. So I mean, and it's not like you can only add dependency while creating the project. Later on also, like initially I added only 3 dependency, but later on I feel like I need to add some more functionality, so I can add the dependency and just click on this, like I'm using this IntelliJ, so you can just click on M button and just refresh it. So it will download the dependency from the internet and add it to your project. Is it clear now? Any doubts? Right? Okay, I'll take this as yes. So basic, first of all, this is the main dependency to start with any Spring Boot application, the Spring Boot web. Okay, the Spring Boot test by default comes when you start as any Spring Boot application with the Spring Boot Starter web. The other one I added is Lombok, which help you to eliminate the boilerplate code. It help you to add getters and setter with the simple annotation only. We will get into the annotation part later on, but it will help you a lot to like code faster. So this is for Lombok. The another one is JPA. JPA we usually use for database queries and all. So it will help you to write a less query and fetch the data from SQL database in a faster way. Okay, that's what JPA help in. Okay, and the another dependency I use is MySQL connector. Again, I told you, like if you want to connect with MySQL database, there are some boilerplate code. So one way is either you write it all on your own. The other ways you can add the dependency. So you will be having the boilerplate code. Only the thing is now you need to configure your system to connect with the MySQL database and how to use it. You don't need to bother about like how it will connect to MySQL server, how my system will do it, all this thing. So yeah, this is all about the dependency thing and how Spring Boot application you can start at least, I mean, the basic boilerplate code. And the API, or why Spring Boot, why Spring Boot over Spring.
I think from here, maybe, what you'll do is for today, you just go to that Spring Initializer,
right?
And, try to, have that or generate, the application and try to add this Spring Web, Spring Boot Starter Web, right? So where it's a starting point for the Spring application to start, right? So you can start with that, and even the MySQL dependencies, or all other JPA, whatever we have added, right? Just try to add it and see, without those dependencies and with those dependencies, what differences you guys can observe, right? Yeah. Just take a look. Just take a look on that, and even once you start with that, just with a because it comes by default with a simple controller and service layer, this thing, right, the small code will come. Just try to start the server, and so that you will understand how your Tomcat is running, on what port it is running, and try to install the Postman, and try to have a simple test. Just take a look, just walk through on all these things, so that you will get better understanding and you will remember also. So from tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll just go through the code. We'll try to implement some of the functionalities, and we'll jump on more and more in depth. So for now, so any questions for you? So you can feel free to ask Chirag, so that he'll clarify your questions on this area, whatever he has covered today.
Yeah, small doubt, Chirag. Actually, the thing is, actually in advanced Java, by using JDBC, we will be connecting Eclipse and MySQL, right? We will be without JDBC. Now we are connecting to Spring Boot to MySQL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a right or wrong? I don't exactly. So
No. So that's what I was telling. So Spring Boot, that's the whole concept of Spring Boot. You don't need to bother about how the JDBC will do, or how your configuration will handle, how your like the ORM will. Everything will be handled by Spring Boot itself. That's the whole concept. Spring Boot is itself a framework that is well versed with all of these things. You just need to add some connector, the right configuration, and it will work.
yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Like
In Spring Boot, we can
internally,
write. Yeah.
internally it does the same thing. Internally, it makes the JDBC connections, and it connects to the talk to the MySQL. So internally it does the same thing, but the advantage with the Spring Boot is same what Chirag said, right? So that's what the benefit it gives. Like, you don't have to bother about the configuration, because all that stuff is a nonsense, right? You have to have the JDBC setup, you have to set the connection pool, you have to set connection making, and once the connection comes out, you have to close it. So all this is the shitty stuff, right? So we don't need to bother about all these things with the Spring Boot. So that's the advantage of the Spring Boot.
Coming to your question, Vinay, again. So the way Gopal said, just try one thing. Go to Spring Initializer, create a project. First, don't think about this JPA and MySQL connector. Keep it aside. Start your application, download and start it. Just look at the logs when you start the application. Just read it one by one. You will know what it is doing behind the scene. Then add the dependency for this MySQL connector and the JPA, and then start the application again. You will see the difference, how everything Spring is doing. You will see in the logs itself. It is doing the JDBC connection, the connection pooling, and everything it will be doing. So you will see in the logs itself. It will help you.
Yeah, okay, Chirag. One more small doubt. We can write HTML code in Spring Boot. Can we write or no? Or not? Small doubt.
No, don't do that. That's not a way. So see, the main idea, I mean, you can even have the front end forms with the Spring Boot. That is okay. That's still okay. But that's not a recommended way, right? So you go with the normal front end application implementation and take the Spring Boot as for the backend, expose the APIs, and call these APIs from the front end application. You name that front end application as HTML with JavaScript based, or maybe React based or Angular based, whatever, right? Whatever you name, but make the call from that front end application to this Spring Boot backend APIs.
Okay.
So through
APIs, we will be calling through APIs, we will be calling the data form, whatever form we are going to fill. That through API, we will be getting that data, and that data is going to we will be sending to the database.
Correct, database, and after that also it will come back to the front end, so that you can display in the UI, your mobile application, or any of the browser based application, anything you can show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Gopal Krishna, can I ask one thing? Like, yeah, as you mentioned, like you need to download the Spring Initializer, right? So whenever we're downloading it, it's like a zip bundle, right? Zip bundle, right? Zip.
Just extract it, and maybe whatever the Eclipse or IntelliJ, right? You can import it. Either it's IntelliJ or Eclipse, whatever you're using.
So exactly, I'm asking, like, what are the things that we need to download to run the particular zip bundle of the Spring Initializer?
You don't need to download anything except only that zip file. You download it. What ID you have? Eclipse or IntelliJ? What you have?
we don't have like that's one.
Okay, you don't have your thing.
Yeah, yeah. We
Okay,
don't have
then
experience.
yeah, take IntelliJ Community Edition. So install that IntelliJ Community Edition.
Okay.
IntelliJ Community Edition and Java. Maybe install Java 17. Java 17 version in your laptop. And what else? What else we need?
Maybe
Yeah,
So-
that's enough.
Actually, exactly, we don't know how the setup, like a configuration which is.
It's okay. We'll
related
help.
to-
It's okay. No problem. No problem. No problem. Just go ahead. Just search in the internet that IntelliJ Community Edition. So your laptop is Windows or Mac?
Yeah, it's in a Windows 11th version.
Windows, right? So there would be exe file. So from that website, their IntelliJ website, just download that. And then install it and go to the Java also Oracle website, download the JDK also, and install the JDK also.
Okay.
Just install these two and get it ready tomorrow. Or once you install, just try to import the zip file, whatever you have downloaded. Zip file,
exactly.
extract and then import.
Yeah, okay, sure. So then we will go with the further action, like how we implement it.
Correct, exactly. So all of you, all of you, not just Harish, right? So everybody, please do that and get your setup ready so that we'll start from tomorrow. Okay?
Yeah, sure, Bonas. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you, Chirag. Thank you.
Yeah. So any other things? Any other things? Any questions? Maybe in terms of the configuration or anything.
No.
Okay, then all good.
Yeah, small doubt.
Mhm.
Yeah, small doubt. Already Eclipse is installed in my laptop. Is Pioneer may I install?
Yeah, it is okay. Eclipse is also good, but I think IntelliJ Community Edition, what it will do is it will be very fast actually. IntelliJ Community Edition very fast, and you will be in sync with everybody else also. So just I think everybody install the IntelliJ Community Edition only. IntelliJ.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay then, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.